Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of 9 Million Chill. We are here with Adam from Lambert Tactical.
How you doing?
Stand by. Here, let me see it.
It's cooking, Adam.
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Awesome. I'm glad to have you here. I've only ever seen you outside.
I'm glad to be here. It's nice and air conditioned in here.
I just had a conversation with like a bunch of randos on the internet about air conditioning. And they're like, oh, I can't survive if my house isn't like 65 degrees. I'm like, what kind of a child are you that you can't survive at 75?
I have air conditioning and my house stays at 75. It's nice.
And that's like on the low end.
Yeah.
Open your windows.
Right? Get a little breeze in there, a little fresh air.
Speaking of being outside, I understand that you are from the same neck of the woods as me.
Yes and no. We lived there until I was 8. Moved here when in '96. My dad got a big transfer. Took the whole family out here and been here ever since.
And where did you land in Colorado?
South Denver.
What would you say is one of the main changes you've seen between coming to Colorado as a kid and where it's at now?
We still have a big emphasis on the outdoors and hiking and camping and utilizing what we have out there, but we've definitely had a pull back on firearms and hunting and what we can do within that Second Amendment realm and how it can help us here, Pittman-Robertson Act is a huge thing on what can be done for our trails and everything else around here.
As someone who doesn't know anything about laws because I just choose not to follow them,
Sure.
What is that?
So the Pittman-Robertson Act is a excise tax on the national level for the manufacturing of firearms, firearm accessories, and ammunition. Somewhere between 10 and 11% of those goods goes towards supporting the public lands that are out there right now. Majority of that money gets hit to these 12 or 13 western states that have the majority of the public land, and Colorado is one of those lands.
It's a statewide injection of that money, or does it go towards specific parks or areas?
So it goes towards anything that's defined as a public land. So it goes right towards CPW, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, and it's going to take care of both the state and the federal lands that are located here in the state.
So it seems like you know quite a bit about this.
I try to, yeah.
You dabble.
Yep.
Are you a hunter yourself?
I am, yes,
Okay.
sir.
Well, what's your main gig?
Main thing is deer and rabbit, as weird as that might sound.
That sounds like a great sausage combination.
It really
honestly.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
Good gumbo too. You only get 1 week for deer here in Colorado, so I end up planning all 51 weeks for that 1 week to be out there in the woods, hoping to catch myself a deer and bring one home. Rabbits, that season goes from beginning of October till the end of February, basically. So you get a lot more time out there, and you just get to walk around in the woods, carry your gun, maybe get some dinner, maybe not. Who cares at that point?
Yep. Either way, you
Yep.
get to be out there walking around.
Exactly.
What's your rabbit gun?
1022.
Oh, okay.
It's something basic and simple, nice
Yeah.
Nikon scope on top of it. It works.
That's mine right there. But I just had a red dot on it. It's just a Ruger American
Yep.
Bolt 22.
I have one of those too, and they work just as well.
Yeah, it got me my first rabbit. I wasn't even looking for rabbits. I was looking for grouse, but all I found was a rabbit.
Grouse are good.
I love that they're just like forest chickens.
Yeah. Forest chickens are the sage grouse, if you can get in on that season. Really small units up in like Hot Sulphur Springs, Kremling area.
Okay. You're saying all the guys there have really small units?
No. It's just not a ton of area for the sage grouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, you're about to have you're about to have 4 people be really upset
Right.
on the internet right now.
Yeah, not a lot of sage grouse hunters out there, but
Is that how you got your start into the firearm side of things?
no, actually, I got started in the firearm industry, or firearm world, whatever you want to call it, from my dad shooting as a little kid. Before I could even go hunting with him, he'd take me out shooting, give me a little 22 and say, have at it. I started hunting when I was 10 or 11, and then about 10 years ago is when I started getting really heavy into the firearm world and learning how to shoot in a more modern fashion. Getting into the competition world of things.
Stand by.
Training, all that kind of good stuff.
What do you see as far as skills that you've learned from hunting that translate to the modern shooting and vice versa?
The very first range that my dad would take me to here in Colorado was the range at the Cherry Creek State Park. And if you know that range, on the back side of the berm is a neighborhood. So you had to be really sure that your targets were full of holes and your bullets were going where they weren't meant to go. And the rule my dad had when I was growing up is if I couldn't tell him definitively where my bullet hole was, we'd be packing up and I'd be going home. Fast forward now, if I'm running a bill drill, 6 shots within 2 seconds, I can count my shots and number them out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I know which impact was which. Even though I'm not paying attention to those impacts as much as I'm paying attention to the drill, I know where those shots are landing because that was drilled into me as a kid. From the more modern competitive side into the hunting world, trends have changed. We've gotten a more higher level of technology in our firearms. We've gotten a better understanding of the human body, how we can hold a firearm. We went from teacupping a pistol to thumbs forward, and now we don't necessarily need to do the same kind of mounts on a rifle where you're tucking your elbow into your rib cage and kind of supporting it like that. We can get more stretched out. We can use different tripods or bipods or backpacks to hold ourselves up and all that kind of good stuff. There's a big crossover between the two of them, and we don't just need to look at the AR-15 as a separate part of the gun world than a Remington 700.
One of the things that I found that was a super convenient move from modern towards the hunting side was the slings. These worlds have a lot to learn from each other and sometimes resist that learning.
Yeah.
It's like the competition thing from all of the cool guy stuff. Competition will get you killed in the streets. And it's like, well, anyone who shoots competition is going to be much faster than you are.
Yep, absolutely. And there's plenty of studies backed by both the FBI and Marines and other organizations that show the person who pulls that gun first, who pulls that first shot, they're the ones who are going to win that gunfight. And when you're talking in that defensive world, then speed is king at that point. Competition gets you faster.
We recently connected at the
RMGO rifle match.
Yes, it was the RMGO rifle charity match, right?
Yep.
Obviously, you can shoot a rifle. What about pistol? Do you do pistol competitions too?
Most of my matches are actually 2-gun matches where I'm running both my rifle and my pistol. I've done a couple of pistol-only matches, but I prefer having the combo with both of them. Pistol matches are frankly more practical as a civilian. More likely to have just my handgun with me than handgun and rifle. But I like to have fun. And the 2-gun, that makes it that fun aspect of it. Especially one of the local ranges here, they'll put you out to 600 yards. Same range we shot at match. They'll put you out to 600 yards with your rifle, and then next round or next stage you're doing 100-yard shots with your pistol. I like that kind of stuff. That's challenging. I don't want to be challenged when I'm doing those competitions. If we're just sitting there running a cadence drill and who can make the tightest hole, that's boring. You may not be competitive in the first couple of matches, but you don't have to be. You're there to be better than yourself yesterday. I run a little bit more of an advanced rig when I'm running, I have the full battle belt, IFAK, dump pouch, all that kind of good stuff. But it's also for the other aspects of how I train, shooting with my buddies, training with with my friends, all that. Keep ourselves to high level, keep ourselves to high level accountability with each other, all that kind of good stuff. And having better gear just makes it a little bit easier to do that kind of thing sometimes.
And sometimes it's just cool to have the good stuff. I get that. You have your own training company, correct?
Yes, sir.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about Lambert?
So I started Lambert Tactical to get to the people, honestly, mostly who don't have access to firearms. People who have a lot of mysticism around firearms. Guns aren't scary. They're an inanimate object, and I want to be able to demystify that for a lot of people out there. I will work with more advanced shooters because everybody needs some training and some coaching from time to time. But those beginner shooters are the ones who are, they look at a gun and they say, I don't even know how to pick it up. Well, it's easy. Just don't touch the trigger and you can pick it up just fine. And there's little things like that that are really easy to pass on to other shooters that people want to gatekeep for one reason or another. And there's no reason to gatekeep this information. It's meant to be out there for everyone. It's a constitutional right.
I think there's a lot of gatekeeping, and then what I see also is a lot of people are so worried about looking stupid when they ask a question. Any type of skill, we were all beginners at a certain point. We all ask these same questions. It's not a stupid question.
Exactly.
It's a step on your path towards getting better.
I like using the analogies to learning how to drive a car, where most people were absolutely terrified when they got behind the wheel for the first time. You're now piloting this multi-ton missile. And eventually you learn how to do it. You're able to, navigate through traffic and get home and work just fine and all that kind of good stuff. And Learning a firearm's the same kind of thing, where you start off, you're good and scared. You should be. It's a weapon. It can do some damage. But once you start learning more and you start understanding what it's capable of and what you're capable of as a firearm user, now suddenly everything's good and safe, and it's a lot of fun to be out there on the range.
So what kind of classes do you offer?
I have one-on-ones that I'm absolutely hard tailoring to the individual. Whatever they want to learn, whatever they need to work on, that's what we work on for that hour, those 2 hours, whatever they book me for. And then I also have intro to pistol, CCW, defensive handguns 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then adding other classes as time goes on, as interest gets built up, all that kind of good stuff.
Can you give me a little more detail, just like, elevator pitch for what those different levels of defensive handgun entail?
Yeah, so going back to analogies, because analogies just help everyone understand everything better.
All the time. Probably drives everyone nuts.
Crawl, walking, and running. You need to be able to crawl before you can walk or run, right? Intro to pistol, that is the crawling class. That's where we're going to learn about pistol and safety, how to handle a weapon safely, keeping it in the right direction, all that kind of good stuff. We're going to learn a little bit about the function of a handgun, all that. When we start getting into the defensive handguns 1 and 2, those are more like walking classes. So now we're going to start talking about holster work. We're going to start talking about reloads, malfunctions, and how to clear those malfunctions. What type of malfunctions might you come across? Defensive handgun 3 and 4, that's where we're running. That's where we're getting in front of the firing line, so we're going down range where we get a little bit of movement. We're now not restricted by those bays and the walls inside that interior or inside range. We're able to do some lateral and forward backward movements, multiple targets. Defensive handgun 4 is more applicable for civilian defensive use, as well as competition aspects. Get off the X. That's going to be the big thing in those types of classes.
Get as far from your ex as possible.
Away from it.
There's a reason that relationship ended. One of the things that I've seen people struggle with when looking for classes is that you have the crawl and you have the run, but there's not a whole lot of walk. And so I feel like people are left out.
To be perfectly frank, the individuals, that one-on-one, that's where a lot of the walking turns to running. Because everyone learns a little bit differently. Everyone needs to work on something a little bit different or a little bit more specific. You and I might be at the same shooting level with our handgun, but we need to work on different things to get better at them, right?
We're not.
But
I'll tell you right now. You good? Oh, I have a shirt.
Getting over that hump to go from walking to running, a lot of times it's better to be in that one-on-one environment where there's a little bit more hand-holding, there's a little bit more coddling, but you're getting that improvement that you specifically need.
Or some people get caught up with having other people around them watching them.
You shouldn't ever care what people think about you when you're learning something new, because like you said before, you're always in a beginner's position when you're picking something up. That's a good thing. Struggle with it. Accept that struggle, accept that what makes it hard, because then you're going to be happier with the results at the end of the day. That self-aware is going to be potentially what drags you down and slows you from learning what you need to learn in that class. And that's what I'm there for ultimately, is to get people to learn what they need to learn in that class.
Through your competition and training career, what is one of your proudest moments and what was one of your most embarrassing moments?
Easy proud moment is, I've actually had a couple of students like this that their anxiety and stress was so high walking into the range that tears just started flowing. And I'm not talking like a little cry, but hysterically sobbing. Okay, let's get you off this range. Let's talk about the whys you're feeling this way. Because if there's whys, then we can address and start to solve that problem. Every time I've had a student like that, before the hour was up, they were back in the range, laughing and smiling and having a really good time. The range should be an enjoyable time. I don't like seeing people cry in my range.
Unless they deserve it.
As far as most embarrassing, I've had a DQ, didn't necessarily agree with it, and I definitely argued my situation. Probably should have just take the DQ and take the L and learn from the mistake and move on with my life, but sometimes I'm a little hard-headed and I gotta state my case, so.
I also feel like a DQ, as much as you may be embarrassed at that time, we've all been there. We all disagreed.
Yep.
We're all pissed. So, it's like rite of passage.
Yeah, it sucks. Go get that ice cream, learn from it, move on about your day, and be better the next time you go out.
I should have got myself ice cream.
There's a why there.
Damn it, Bronson.
You good?
He He is great. Look at this man. Statue of greatness. Ray of
That
sunshine.
chiseled jawline, yeah. There's some guys out there on the big stage, like the national level of competition, that are on the huskier side of things, and those guys can move. I look at like the guys in the NFL, like linemen, and just think about how big those guys are and how fast they can move. If any of them wanted to start picking up guns, they'd be able to shoot full-size guns like they were nothing and run like it too.
Do you know Ryan Miller?
Yeah.
Just the thought of him running towards me, like, gives me nightmares.
First time I met him, and I'm 6'2", so I'm used to seeing people eye level or maybe slightly looking down on him. And first time I met him, it's just...
If you were to boil down what Lambert is, how would you explain to someone what you do and what they can gain from it?
Lambert Tactical is meant to make shooting more accessible to everybody. Whether it's your first time owning a firearm or your first time getting into competition, first time hunting, or you've done it for 10 years and you're just trying to get better. I want to be that person to make you better. The Second Amendment's for everyone, periods, and I'm here for everyone as well.
That's phenomenal. You even mentioned periods.
Mm-hmm.
We don't all have them. What is it that you always say? Statistically, 100% of the population has one testicle.
Yes.
I have more than the average number of fingers
That's true.
and more than the average number of arms.
Do you also teach the hunting side of things?
At the moment, not officially, but I'm trying to get myself in a position where I can start teaching hunter safety, as well as I want to be a resource. You hit me up on Instagram, I will help you out and answer your questions for hunting, especially here in Colorado. Can't do a whole lot of the practical teaching yet, but kind of classroom conversations, I'm here for that kind of thing for sure.
And buying a pallet of live goats is really expensive.
I do know a guy.
I need someone to explain me how tags work. I cannot figure it out. You don't have to explain it right now because I'm sure it's complex.
It's really not though. We have a lottery system and we have OTCs. All deer tags are lottery, and elk and antelope are potentially OTCs. You get in on the lottery in the springtime, like March, 1st of April kind of time period, and you get your tags by June or July. That's really it. The way you apply is by knowing where the animals are.
That's part of the problem too, is there's all these zones.
When you go down to the CPW office, Cabela's, any place that sells the licenses, they'll have that big game book, and in that book is the map for the what they call GMUs, game management units, and you can start seeing where in the state your specific area that you want to hunt is and what that unit is and all that kind of good stuff. Then you go further into that book to look at what that hunt code is to see if it's potentially accessible for lottery. It can get complicated if you allow it to.
So if someone wants to get in on one of your classes or pick your brain for whatever knowledge, what's the best way to get in touch?
3 easy ways. You can get on my Instagram, Lambert Tac. You can email me at lamberttactical@gmail.com, or just give me a phone call, 303-746-2236. Local number.
You had a previous career as a singer, is that right?
Well,
They'll be like, wow, he left Queen to do this?
Yeah.
if you'd been singing like country or bluegrass, then I would have been on those coattails. I would have been Adam Lambert 100%. But I'm not that Adam Lambert, I'm me.
Give me some bluegrass band recommendations.
Yonder Mountain String Band, Leftover Salmon. Those are some classics
That's
from here in Colorado.
Great.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's some really good ones out there that roll through town here frequently and all that kind of good stuff. Because Colorado, we still like bluegrass around here. So the Telluride Bluegrass Festival, that happened last month, I think. Sam Douglas is almost always there. Yonder's always there. That's always like a really good spot for some bluegrass.
Okay.